Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. So today is going to be focused on technology. And I already came out with an episode not too long ago that a lot of you probably already heard. And if you haven't, go back and listen to it. It's with Byron from Pest Routes. Okay, so this is another company that actually is very connected to Pest Routes and that I personally use. And today we're going to be talking to Ross Mawini, the CEO of Lobster Marketing, and he's been with them since 2014. Ross, are you there?
Sure am.
Did I get your last name right?
You did.
Okay, good. I was nervous about that.
Nope, you got it. Well, nice to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak with you, especially as a customer of ours that we're really thankful for, and happy to talk about technology and what we've done over here to combine the front end on the marketing side with the back end business management software with Pest Routes.
Yeah, no, and I'll explain it later in the episode, but I am excited to talk to you about this and to throw this out to a lot of the PMPs that listen to the podcast, and a lot of them will know, and I haven't actually gotten too much detail with it, but I acquired a company just recently, and they run everything off of paper. And it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Absolutely nightmare.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations on the acquisition and all the paper.
And you have no idea. I have some pictures I'll probably post on Instagram with all the paper that we have. And whoever's still using paper, they need to stop. But this is something, well, let's just get right into it, Ross. What is Lobster Marketing?
Yeah, so we, Lobster is over 10 years old now, 2010, I think. So 11 years. And we started out to do was to help companies take a step forward from, at that time, early 2000s, the image in pest control was still the arachnophobia, you spray everything, and or real gimmicky. And so our desire was to help smaller companies get a really professional look and a professional front to their business that they're investing their lives in. And so we started out really focused on design and services for the pest control industry. And then as we grew, we ended up working with really large companies rather than the mom and pops that we started out to target. We ended up working with some very large companies and ran into some technology problems. And those were mostly around the idea of we had a desire to do things like provide pest control online, provide real-time ROI reporting, seamless lead and form integration, and those types of things. And so we, around 2016, 17, we made some attempts at that without an integration with software, which was really hard to get done at that time. It was kind of a standalone system, and of course that was painful. And so we really started to discuss the idea that we needed to partner with a software company in order to get to where we wanted to be. And so in 2018, we were contacted by a firm that had made an acquisition of Pest Routes and discussed, us coming in and being a part of that and providing the exact things we were looking to. And so we made the decision to become a part of that. And so we were acquired by Field Service Holdings, which owns Pest Routes, in June of 2018. So immediately we came, I think it was Pest World that year, so a few months later, we came to market with integrated websites, so websites that seamlessly integrated with Pest Routes, buy pest control online, form integrations, customer portals. And so, quickly we're able to get some of those things knocked off the list, at least with the first iteration, which we've continued to iterate on since then. And then the following year, able to come with our portal and dashboard that shows that real-time ROI. We're able to connect the marketing campaigns back to the paying customers. So our focus is on the technology for acquiring new customers, helping our companies grow. we're in a high growth industry in pest control, and so everybody wants to grow as fast as they can. And our desire to do that is effortlessly as possible, and to do it in a way that allows, again, that smaller mom and pop business to grow to the size they want to be.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm not, everyone knows I am actually one of your customers. And from what I've seen so far, it's been a night and day difference from what I've been actually trying to do on my own. Which you explained, actually, one of my questions was kind of, what does Lobster Marketing do for pest control companies? And I'll throw out my experience is I actually went on to GoDaddy, and because we had a really, really crappy website, and then we went to another crappy website through GoDaddy, and we built it and we made it. And there's actually a way to book online through that. And it actually wasn't a total failure, because we had a lot of people actually try to book online. But that we had to call everybody. And so one thing that pulled me into Lobster Marketing was that you did have the integration with Pest Routes, and I could give that option to buy online.
Yeah, we try to take as much of a holistic approach as we can. Our roots are in being a full service marketing company. And so what we try to do is, when a company comes on, we find out where they're at. And so many are in the same place that you were, where they have made an attempt in-house and have had various levels of success, but really are looking to bring in a partner, and that's who we want to be as a partner, to evaluate where they're at and help them really get on sure footing, especially when it comes to best practices according to Google, and begin to rank and drive those leads back in that will provide that growth that we talked about. And so what we do is determine where that's at, get you on the right plan that's going to take you at least from where you're at to the next step, and give you a platform that gives you the technology to build on. And so, again, we've for years struggled to, just like everybody else, figure out what is someone getting back for their marketing dollars. And even as the agency providing it, it was hard to come up with. And so what we want to do is be able to try things together, new campaigns, new efforts, and then monitor what the results of those are, see what happens as far as ROI is concerned. And then if it's not working, shift gears, apply those resources somewhere else, and try again. Obviously, we want to do that in a way that is intelligent and not just throwing money at the wall and seeing what sticks. But again, that's the technology allows us to do that. And the other piece is that, just like you said, we are in a changing world, obviously. And last year, especially with COVID and what took place, we saw just a dramatic increase in the usage of buy online. I think, especially those first few months of COVID, we were up hundreds of % in usage of buy online, and that's stayed pretty consistent since that time. So we're seeing the consumer adopt the transaction of services online. While it still trails phone by a lot, obviously, it's definitely gaining ground. And so we want to provide the best experience we can for that end consumer. And so it's really about helping a company come in, evaluate where they're at, and help them take that next step from a marketing perspective, so that they can not just attract new customers, but give them the best experience that they can when they show up on their website.
Oh yeah. Well, one thing, because I was talking to Andy, who has been helping me out with Lobster, and I've now used Lobster at my current company and the one I just acquired. And so, in kind of what we were talking about, and one thing, if anyone goes on the website and checks out Lobster Marketing, and, one thing that your guys ask is, do you want to use the buy online? And, for me, it was like, well, duh, that's exactly what I want to do. And Andy, he said, he's like, well, there's actually a lot of, old school guys out there and companies that don't want to do that. And what I think a lot of people in the pest control industry just don't understand is consumers aren't dumb. They know you're trying to sell them a service. So stop trying to hide behind, all these forms and send us your information and we'll contact you. And, I want to make it as easy as possible to give me your money. How easy can I make that? That's what I want to do.
Yeah. And I think, at this point, in so many ways, people do what they want, right? And so it is about providing the method of transaction that the consumer wants. And you're going to have in the consumer the same way you have in the pest control companies, those people who want to be on the phone. They're going to want to pick up the phone and talk to you as a provider. And that I don't foresee that goes away, obviously. But there are a growing number of consumers that transact online, and they don't want that interaction. They want to be able to do their research. And once they know what they want to do, they want to be able to click a button and do it. And so the ability to provide that, I think, is going to just continue to grow in importance, and allowing that consumer to transact in the way they want to, therefore, is going to become more and more important to each service company that's out there, each pest control company that's out there.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we've been focusing on one small part of Lobster marketing, to be honest with you, because that's not the only thing that Lobster marketing does for me, or what you even do for, any other pest control companies. But that one thing was a big selling point for me, is how easy can I make this process? If they can go online and they can just click a couple buttons and buy pest control, schedule the appointment and do everything that way. And that frees up my office too.
Yeah, absolutely. Elon Musk is quoted as saying input equals error. And that's, when he's talking about, whether it's automated driving or whatever, his idea is that your customer should have to do as little as possible. And, I think that we try to figure out how to do that as a marketing company for our customer. How do we ask less questions? How do we get the information without bugging them as much as possible? Those types of things. But at the same time, that's the same thing that a pest control consumer wants. I mean, they're freaking out. They've got a bug problem or whatever. They want to do as little as possible to get that solved as quickly as possible. And so I think that philosophy has worked pretty well for him at this point. I think it's a good one for us to follow, is figuring out how do we make this as easy as possible for a consumer. I think that's really important.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with I agree with you on that. So apart from buy online and things like that, what else are you providing, for a technician who has no idea, or an owner, I should say, that has no idea what they're missing out on, or they don't even know what's out there? What else does Lobster do for them?
Yeah, so I think one of our hidden secrets, open secrets, is that we have a really great design team still, and so really when it comes from a concept, even of I have a business that I'm beginning, and we get a lot of those. Just starting out, I don't even have a logo. I don't even have. We can do all those things still at this point, and we focus on the technology because that's our differentiator, right? But we still are a marketing company that can handle all of those needs and provide really great results. And then from there, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And so we try to come up with a strategy that includes an organic approach, so a website that is built according to Google's best practices. And that represents you as a really professional company that a consumer wants to do business with and can interact with easily. Building content on that website to attract organic search results, and then continuing to optimize the website to do that. Your Google My Business listing, at this point, as a company, you have at least 2 homepages. It used to be that you had one homepage. You have a website, and you got to make sure that's optimized. Now you have 2. You have your website that's out there on the internet, but then you also have your Google My Business listing. And Google's doing everything they can, honestly, to get as many of the marketing dollars as they can that are out there and provide as much value to the searcher as quickly as possible. They're doing the same thing we are, is trying to make the life of the consumer easy. And so they're trying to pull information from the internet or off of your site. They're trying to provide as much as they can without leaving Google. So making sure your Google My Business listing is optimized is another really important piece that we do. And we also, we've talked about the buy online from the website. We also offer the ability for those using buy online to be able to offer that directly from the Google My Business listing. So you can click, go through the buy online process without even having to go to the website. So, and then, paid strategies, and so Google Ads and Google Local Services, all those are really important, Facebook ads. So there's a huge set of mediums or angles that we can come to the consumer from. And so we try to do our best to work with you to figure out which ones you want to use, which ones will work best in your area, and apply as many of them as we can.
Yeah, and just so everybody who's listening understands and knows, is that, you can go to lobstermarketing.com, right? Is that the website?
That's right.
And you can get a free, you can put in your information and they'll contact you and explain everything more in depth. But something that some of these small business owners, and I'm a small business owner, don't understand is the technology is now out there, and there's companies like you guys, like Lobster Marketing, that is right there ready to do so much work. I'm not a website designer. I don't design that stuff. I don't even know how to do that. And I tried to do that and it didn't work and it failed. And now, I have a great looking website. And it's customized to me, to my services.
Right. And it at the same time, it costs far less than one employee, to go get and have them come in and do that work, and I think that's always been really important to us, that we provide these things, for companies in a way that they can afford them, and they can see that very clearly. Man, I would have to hire multiple people to do this on my own, and instead I can get superior quality technology and services for a price that's less than hiring those people. So I think that's always been really important to us.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned something, with being on Google, what is, and this is something I didn't know until I started going more in depth on a website and everything. But what's so important about a functional website?
Yeah, well, number one, if you don't have a functional website, it's like having you could go print 5,000 brochures if you want, right? Put them in a box and set them in the corner of your office, and you have wasted your money, your time, your effort. A website that's not functional is, number one, not going to attract anybody. It is going to be a brochure floating around out there on the internet that no one's going to find. And so, that's the first piece. And so attracting the people that you want to transact with is the core, aim of any website in this day and age. The second piece is, if it's not functional and that, your customer's going to identify it quickly. They're going to get there and realize, man, this company can't even in 2021 put together a website that makes me want to do business with them. Then I don't want to do business with them because, I want to look at a website that makes me feel like I can trust this company. I want to easily be able to get the information I want. I want to easily be able to figure out how to contact them and work with them. And if I can't do that, I'm on to the next website very quickly. So both sides. One is attracting the people. The other one is getting them to convert. And if your website's not functional, you're not going to be able to do either of those.
Yeah. So if anyone's thinking of building their own website, through one of these, GoDaddy's one of them. There's a bunch of other ones out there that, hey, create your own website here. I don't suggest doing that, especially because I tried it and I failed at it, and it's not customized and it's not really good for the service industry. If you're going to sell some clothes, I think it's great, but if you're not, it's not the best way to go. In my experience, and I wasted a lot of time and money on that. And so I do have to say thank you, to Lobster Marketing, because now I don't have to worry about that. And I don't really have to think about it either. So it just gets done.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate, that for sure. And, I've been there with you, and I used to do the same thing. And I would say, I can do this in my own time. Why am I going to pay somebody else money to do this? And so I'd go about doing it. And yet marketing is the one area that we all know, every single one of us knows, you get back what you put in. And we look at the amount of money that is being shelled out on marketing all around us all the time. And we know the only reason that's happening is because it works. And yet then and I've done it, we as business owners, we turn around and we skimp. We turn around there and we will buy the nicer truck, or we will buy the nicer tools, or do whatever, and then we skimp on our marketing, which is going to fuel the growth we need to be able to afford that nicer truck or those tools or whatever. And so it's really interesting how we think about it, but it's not something that's unique to any one business owner. It's something that we all go through. And at some point, usually what happens is people begin to break through that mindset and go, hey, you know what? The more money I put into marketing, the faster I grow. And so it's just a math equation at that point. And it's really important to break through that as a business owner and realize, if I really want to get serious about growth, then I got to make sure that my dollars are going towards driving that growth.
Yeah, and that's something I talk about on the Pest Routes episode, is that technicians, owners, a lot of guys who break off of a bigger company, they start their own company and they start from scratch and they start small, and they don't understand how much is actually put into growth. They don't understand the marketing side of things. They know how to spray a bug. Yeah. And that's cool. And that's great. And you can you can be a business owner, but the problem is you just created a job for yourself, and you're not actually owning it. And I think that's where a lot of people miss that. A lot of small companies miss that, and even some larger companies. I mean, I talked to a few technicians that work for decently sized companies, way bigger than what I have, and they're still on paper and they're still running a certain way, and they're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. And I mean, how much bigger could that company be, if they just knew what was out there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point. And we have companies at this point that we've worked with for 8, 9, 10 years, and we've watched them do the right things with their marketing dollars for a long period of time, and it is incredible how much they've grown. And so some of those companies we started with 7 or 8 years ago, they were $3 to $5 million. Decent, like I said, they were decent sized companies already, and now you're looking at some of those, and they're $20, $30, $40 million companies, and they have just consistently put money into their brand, into their marketing efforts, and into their digital presence, and they are reaping the rewards of that now. I think what happens is they begin to put money into those things, and they want their brand to grow, and they want their website to rank, and all those things. They want to happen right now, and then they get a nice website up with a company that puts up a site for them. They get the content going, and 3 or 4 months in, they're saying, well, hey, where's all those leads that I was supposed to be getting? And at the end of the day, it is a process that you have to continue to work through and to continue to do the right thing over and over again. And then there are just incredible rewards that can be gained. So we've seen companies grow just massively over the years from doing the right thing, from building great websites and content, getting in front of people and giving them easy means to convert. And so it's a tried and true method for sure. I mean, we try to make sure that people are getting, 3 to 5 times return on their money. That's what we shoot for. And so sometimes that's possible. Sometimes it takes time to get there, obviously. If you're signing up as a small company in a really, really, challenging area like a Dallas market or Houston or something like that, it can be daunting because you have so many very large companies that you're competing with. But the only way to compete with them is to get started, to keep doing the right thing, what you can afford, keep putting it in, and climbing, one rung at a time. And so, I think you're right on that. That it is worth getting going for sure. It's worth investing in. And what's that return going to be for you specifically? Well, it's hard to tell. But if you don't do the right thing time after time, then the result speaks for itself, which is you don't have that growth, you don't have that presence, and so you'll look back and go, man, I should have stuck with it, or I should have invested in it those years ago. Well, now's the perfect time, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's what we run into a lot.
Well, and they say, what's that saying? When's the best, what is it? When's the best time to plant a tree? And it's
Yeah,
like 20
20
years
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. And I agree with everything you just said is, putting in that consistent work, and consistency actually kills everything else because, well, one, most people get exhausted and they just give up. And so if you try to do a lot of those things on your own, you're never going to be able to do it. Because things are going to slip through the cracks, and it's happened with me, but that consistency is so key. Consistently having a good website, consistently having it optimized. That's where you start to see, things change. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think a lot of business owners don't understand that. And so coming into, the day and age of technology where you can get an app on your phone and you don't have to pay $1 million for it, okay, to
Right.
create your own. It's already out there. You just have to pay a fraction of the cost. I knocked door to doors for a security company back in the day. And they paid $1 million for their website and their software or whatever, to get this thing going. $1 million to get it going back then. And I have it, and I'm paying like a fraction of that. I probably won't ever even get to $1 million.
Yeah, it is really amazing what has happened in our world. I mean, we have we're able to now provide more for less money than we did years ago, and that isn't because of our prices have gone, our costs have gone down necessarily. Our wages haven't gone down or anything like that. It's because of technology, and so. I believe that we're living in a time where it's easy to say, "Oh, I'm not sure it's worth it if I'll ever get the return because everybody else is doing it." But at the same time, we're living in a time where it is probably more possible to get that return because the cost of entry is so low compared to what it used to be. I mean, it used to cost $40,000-$50,000 to get some of these sites that we're now producing, for a monthly recurring fee of far less than that, right? So,
Oh yeah.
it's an amazing time, really, to be a business owner and to leverage technology for growth. It's really an incredible time.
Oh,
I was thinking
100%.
about what you just said about the tree. As far as 20 years ago is the best time, second best time is right now. And another quote comes to mind, which was Henry Ford. When he said, "A man who stops advertising is to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time." And as business owners, growth comes from interacting with the consumer, and so making sure we have a way to do that as inexpensively as we can is important. And those organic leads that you get from your website, those are the single source of the cheapest leads that you're going to get over a long period of time. So it's really important to invest there.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. And so, I mean, anybody, out there, owners, anything like that, the company I just acquired, their website, I don't even know actually that was, I had one of the welcome calls. So I guess everyone listening, I might as well just explain it. So when you start the process with Lobster, you have a few phone calls. These phone calls were actually like 5 minutes long because everything was already pretty much done. It was really easy. And a lot of copy and paste from my previous company, but, they essentially go through everything, from talking to Andy, who is helping me, what plan should we choose, to getting, hey, we're going to set up the welcome call. And this morning I actually had that welcome call to get more information about the new company. And that's where Lobster, goes into it and actually kind of customizes the website to what I'm doing. So like the company I just acquired, the guy has been in it for almost 40 some odd years. And so one of the pages, I actually want to kind of put a focus on that, on the roots of where this company was built on. Cause I really like it. I actually think it's awesome. And he's going to stick on and just kind of be a consultant in the background for me for the next 2 years. And so I really want to put a page out there for that. And that's something that Lobster Marketing is going to do for me. in this situation, which I'm excited about because I want to show him, because I pulled his website. They don't even know who they're using. They have no idea even how they set it up. He doesn't remember.
It's super common. It's super common to have to try to track down logins. Nobody knows how to access their site, and all that stuff's super common. So we try to help out with those things as best we can.
Well, and that was one of the things. So I went and bought a different domain because I thought I was just going to lose it. And actually, the welcome call today, the lady said, "Hey, you know what? We'll figure it out. We'll look into it." And that's a huge stress reliever on me because now I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And so she's going to figure that out for me. She'll get back to me, and we'll get that website that's been up for 20 years or however long it's been up. I don't even know. And use that. So I'm not losing all the history behind it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, and so that's something that, if a current owner's worried about their website or losing something, whatever, you keep the same domain. They can pull everything from that old website to put up onto the new website, and you can keep really everything. Your content can be there still. It's just going to be in a different format.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely, if you have any domain value that has been built up over time, we want to make sure we don't want to take steps backwards. We want to make sure we keep moving forward. So we'll do everything we can to try to maintain those for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. And so the other thing is kind of, because you go online and you type in, anything, even if you type in Lobster Marketing and found some ads pop up before yours, what sets you apart from some of these other companies that I guess claim to be doing kind of the same thing?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. The first one is obviously the technology side. We are, I think, quite far ahead of where most marketing companies can be, even companies that are much larger than us that just are not specific to this industry. They can't do some of the things that we can do from the technology side. Again, those things that we talked about earlier. So I think that's really important. The second thing I would say is we have been doing this in this industry long enough to have tried it, So so we have tried about everything you can imagine. There's a ton of experience and knowledge that's come with that over all those years of successes and failures for sure. And I think we bring that to every customer, every website that we build, every marketing campaign that we run. And I think that's really important as well. So I think it's both our team and the understanding that we have, and then the technology that we leverage to, again, bring as many customers as we can and provide them those great ways to convert.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and then of course, the last one is being able to measure real-time ROI and say this campaign produced these customers that are paying you this much amount of money. It's really important as well.
Well, and I guess explain that. So explain a little bit more of ROI, to somebody. So as a business owner,
yeah,
you say that to me, and I'm like, well, why does that even matter? Why would I care about that?
Yeah, and so obviously, when you look at marketing, you got to look at it as an investment. And so this is irrelevant of whether you're working with Lobster Marketing or anything else. You need to make sure that you view it as a series of short-term and long-term investments that you're tracking your return on. So whether you're with Lobster or any other company out there, if you have to get out an Excel spreadsheet and say, hey, I spent my money on marketing and I spent it on these campaigns, you need to be able to try to tie that back to what customers came in your door and how much they're paying you. And so what we've done is for those customers that have Pest Routes and Lobster together, we have tied all of that data together and done it for you. So you have a nice dashboard that shows you these are the marketing campaigns that I ran. These are the customers who contacted me through those campaigns, whether it's buy online or it's a form or it's a phone call. And this is what happened to them. I converted them or I didn't. I can see my conversion rates of, hey, how come I'm getting all these calls, but they're not converting? And I can go and use that information to listen to my phone calls and find out maybe I need to make some changes or have some training with my sales team, et cetera. And so I can view what's happening to these customers and then track that against the spend that I am putting into my marketing and say, hey, I put in $1,000, I got $3,000 back, and I've got a 3 times 2 times my ROI. So I think that's something that's really important to do, no matter whether you're doing with Lobster or not. You need to do it. It's just that if it's with Lobster and Pest Routes, it's really easy. It's done for you. It's there for you to just log in and see whenever you want to see it, and you're able to say, hey, this campaign we're running, it's not working. I'm not getting the return I want, or this one is, and make changes on the fly. So it's really important as you try to get as much growth as you can back for the money that you're expending.
Oh yeah. And that's something, I'll just add to it as you go into the marketing realm, and some things that I've personally done, and I've thrown stuff out there, is a lot of the times you don't want to change everything to a marketing campaign. If anyone's looking at these numbers, Lobster makes it very easy to look at these numbers, but when you're looking at that, you may want to just change one thing, two things, and that's it, and then rerun it and see where it leads you. Don't destroy it and create a whole new one, because now you have to start from scratch. So just be careful when you are doing that with, in this situation. But Lobster does have that dashboard where you get to see everything, and it's just laid out.
Yeah, so actually it's funny, because the reason that I got into search, actually, to begin with, SEO, was my father up here in Maine had a Christmas wreath business. And so he, from long before I was around. So growing up, it was shipping Christmas wreaths all over the country. And it was mail order early on. So you'd send out all the brochures in the mail. And I remember one of my earlier jobs in light stuff in envelopes to send out, and so when I got older, I remember having a conversation with him where he said, hey, I got this guy, he's going to get me to the top of Google, and I'm going to pay him, $4,000 or whatever it was. And so he shelled out his money, and, I think he might have made it to page 3 of Bing, or Microsoft search or whatever it was at the time, but he did not make it to the top of Google, that's for sure. And so then he said, well, I talked to him, and he said, I'm going to have to send, so he sent him another $4,000, and nothing. And, fool me once, fool me twice. And he didn't send him another $4,000 after that. But the point being, everybody's got a story like that, where I spent the money and I don't know what I got for it, or I'm convinced I didn't get anything for it. What we want to do is put it in a situation where we can all agree, this is what was spent, and this is what came back, and good or bad, this is what it is. And so I think that's something that most people in business have experienced to some degree, and that's when, for me, I realized, hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to figure it out. So got involved then.
Oh man, that's yeah, no, that. Yeah, I actually had a similar experience. I didn't pay $4,000 though, thank goodness. With that, I had a company reach out, and they were going to optimize everything, and they were going to bring me up to whatever page and things like that. And I said, okay, you know what? I'll give you a couple months. Let's see what you do. And I don't even think I moved. I don't think they did anything for me. And then when I was about to cancel, that's when they wanted to give me everything. And they were going to, make it work this time. And it's like, well, guys, you already had months to make it work. Now you're trying to do it now. No, sorry. I'm not going to keep paying you guys.
Yeah, that's difficult for sure.
Yeah. Well, Ross,
we run into for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And before we end, do you want to say kind of how can we get a hold of Lobster Marketing? Just explain everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think there's a couple of easy ways. One is to go to the website, and you can, like you said earlier, submit a form there if you want to, or you can call. There's a phone number there. Or then you can also just email me if you want to. You can send an email to ross@lobstermarketing.com, and be happy to talk with anybody who wants to talk. And, if it's about getting services or whatever, that's fine. If it's just to talk about what you're experiencing in your business and any advice, we're happy to give it. So either way is fine.
Awesome. Well, thank you for giving that information out. I know that's big for a lot of the listeners. So I guess use Ross as a good point of contact and question him.
For sure.
So
happy
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ross, for coming on, and just giving more information about what technology's out there, and really about how Lobster can help out, a lot of these smaller companies grow and really get to the goals that they want to get to.
Yeah, I think one last thing for me is there's always a scarcity fear or fear of scarcity that's out there. Like it's been done before. There's no room for me, and it's just not true. There is a lot of room for growth out there, and so go get it. And I really appreciate being on, and really appreciate the conversation with you today, and really appreciate your business for sure. And just happy to have you as a customer.
Oh, thank you so much. You have a good one, Ross.
Thanks, you too.
All right, so there you have it. Ross, the CEO of Lobster Marketing, explaining a little bit about what they do, how they do things, and how they help pest control companies grow. It's a huge thing, and a huge thing that I think small companies miss. I mean, the guy that I acquired, he's had his business for over 20 years, 40 years if you're counting the other business that he had and the time that he's been in the industry, and he didn't have that. He was with, and unfortunately, I'm going to throw them under the bus, but it's a dying industry, and it's Yellow Pages. And that's what he would spend his money on. And what he is spending right now at Yellow Pages, I'm actually spending probably about $300 to $400 less going with Lobster Marketing. And so it's amazing what you can get from that little. I guess that little amount of money, but there's so much opportunity out there. There's so much room for growth, and listen to Ross about that. Remember, you can always reach me or ask me any questions at dnapestpodcast.com, you can go onto the website and do that and put your information in there and ask me anything. You can also go to Instagram at dnapestpodcast, or you can send an email at dnapestpodcast@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page. You can go on there and you can actually follow us there, jump into the page, the group chat. You can talk to all the technicians that are already in there. And let's share our information, guys. I mean, the whole point of this industry is to grow, to learn, and to be better. And that's really what we need to, gauge our success from. Is I don't look at me against someone else. I look at me against me. And, honestly, you're never going to be in competition with me because you're not me. I'm in competition with myself. I'm not in competition with anybody else. So and that's why I'm throwing out all these resources to you guys. Use it. Use these resources. Use what I'm throwing out there, because that's stuff that I'm personally using or I have used. And it's been a massive help to get me to the next step. So remember, use these things. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. None of it is like you have to do it or, you're going to die. It's go check it out. Do your research. Try to, figure it out for yourself if you want. If you don't believe me, that's okay. But do it. Change. Become better. Become the best. That's why I'm throwing this out there for you. But thanks again for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast.